Welcome to Farm to Taste with mother-daughter dynamo Cindy Gershon and Rose Stein. Cindy is a chef, author, activist, and teacher. Rose is a nutrition and lifestyle coach. They're joined by pediatrician, author, and foodie, Dr. Alan Green. What's going on, you guys? My name is Josiah. I'm from Vallejo, California, and I graduated high school in 2019. In my early teen years, I wasn't really taking care of myself the best, but throughout my early 20s, I went through a lot of life-changing experiences that motivated me to want to be able to take care of myself and learn more about nutrition, and I'm very excited to be here to watch the show with you guys.
All right, welcome back to Farm to Taste. We are having way too much fun in the kitchen, so I'm so glad that you are here because we seriously need to focus on the important things of life, which are clearly food. So welcome, my name is Rose Stein. This is the amazing and famous Chef Cindy Gershon.
Famous. Oh, you're giving me way too much.
I know, but you're my mom. Obviously this is amazing. This is too amazing.
Okay, so I got to I'm so excited for today because we're gonna be doing food. But it's like, how do we build the biome? You know, the catchword is biome. So we've got all of these wonderful things that are grown from the ground, carbohydrates. So I've got asparagus and bell peppers and garlic. Oh my God, Dr. Green is going to lose his mind. We got Dr. Green on the set.
Get in here right now.
Yes, come on in here.
Great to be with you today.
Oh my gosh, so
beautiful food and stuff you can learn to make at home really easily.
So easy.
So is there like a story on rice?
Yeah, because there's a lot of different things happening here. There's different colors, there's different textures. It's all different. Tell me about it.
There is a story on rice.
Okay.
This is a story that absolutely blew me away, changed my thinking about everything.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this was a story of a pandemic about 150 years ago. But it was terrible. It was a horrible mystery. In India, it was really, really bad, killing many people. In the Philippines, it was terrible. In Indonesia, it was terrible. In Japan and Hong Kong, but in China, it was the worst. And it was so devastating. They sent in experts, medical experts from around the world to try to figure out how to save people. There are 100,000 people dying every year at the point they started sending people in and tried to figure it out. So when the experts started coming in, there were physicians from all over the planet going to try to sort this out, and they thought it might be a bird flu kind of thing, and that in chickens you would see it, and what would happen is the chickens would start walking funny. So then the chickens would stop being able to walk. And they were called stargazing chickens because they would look up at the sky because their spines were getting so tight, and then they were dying. It was like it
was like an Asian flu.
It was like an Asian flu, but then it started happening to people too. And it was the same kind of thing. Their legs would get weak, their calves would get like skin and bones, and then they would die, and they couldn't figure it out. There was this one Dutch guy named Christian Eichmann who figured it out by accident. He was on a boat, and when he was on the boat, the birds were dying and people were getting sick, and they ran out of food for the chickens, and they had been eating polished white rice, and he switched it because brown rice, the cheap stuff, was all they had left, and they switched them to brown rice.
Brown rice was the cheap stuff?
Yeah. Hours they were cured. By hours.
The sick chickens
and people
had been eating processed bleach, stripped down white rice. You started giving them the brown rice. Within hours, they were feeling better. Okay, I'm feeling you. I'm feeling where you're going with
so
this.
brown rice. Rice has been a human staple throughout much of the world for a long time. There may be more calories more nutrition people have gotten from rice than any other food. But it was only about 150 years ago they started really polishing it and taking off the whole outer layer, and just left the starchy endosperm left.
And why did they do that?
And they did that because it stores better.
Yes.
It's for shelf life.
Tis the story of our entire food system.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, there is a story here.
Right,
okay,
there's a story here. So Eichmann noticed that this was a problem, and the thing he did is he took the polished away part, the bran, and started feeding rice bran syrup to people, and it was a medicine that would fix them really quick. And I should tell you.
I'm sorry, so the part that they took away
Yeah.
from and to make
Was
the white
so
rice.
healthy, it saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
It saved hundreds of thousands of lives.
The part
Okay.
they took away.
Right. Because that's where the nutrients are.
That's where the nutrients
Okay,
are. That's
okay,
where
okay.
the fiber is,
Yes,
and
yes.
the selenium that's
Yes.
so good for your skin,
Yes.
and all kinds of minerals and vitamins. All of that great stuff is in the outer part. And so this was actually the story of how vitamins were discovered. Before that, nobody
They were
knew
like,
about
"What's in
vitamins.
it?" Yeah.
And then they
so
figured
it must
out.
have vitamin A in there.
So
Because that was the first one they discovered, right?
Actually, the first one, the one that's in there is vitamin B1, but they're called vital amines,
Okay.
life-saving amines.
Okay, vitamin B is a water-soluble vitamin that you need to eat every day.
Right, and
So you
that's
need to get it from your food.
and your food is the right way to do it.
That's something that my family told me growing up, was making sure that you do get a lot of vitamin B in your system to even start your day. My brother always told me growing up that it really cures your anxiety and helps you start off your day in a positive way, whether that's getting vitamin B in the food you eat or you buy the capsules. Make sure to get vitamin B in your system so you can keep your head straight and just keep your health at tip-top shape.
And so 1912 was when vitamins were named, and it was named because of this epidemic. And now because of it, now what we do is you have polished white rice and they add in some B vitamins and other things by law, so you get those few things back.
If they put it on the outside, then why do they put it on the bag to rinse the rice? Because doesn't it rinse off what they put on the outside?
You definitely don't increase it by putting it. You can decrease it by rinsing it. You don't have to rinse the rice.
Well, you know, all of my students in my class, when they cook, they take the white rice and they wash it till it's clear,
Yeah.
and then they cook with it. Why?
That's the tradition that's been handed down. A long time ago, rice used to be pretty dirty when it came in the bag.
I was going to say
But-
bugs.
yeah,
You
there was
know,
bugs and
little
other
There's no
stuff in
bugs
it.
on white rice. No, there's nothing's on white rice. Nothing lives. That's why they.
It
that's
lives
why
forever,
they took
right?
it. That's why they took it off, because
Nothing wants to
nothing
eat
will
it.
eat it. I
So-
wanted to show you that I
that smells and looks
sauteed up.
great.
This is the onions. You get your onions right here where they're a little translucent, and that's when you add your garlic.
Love it.
Because if you put your garlic in
too soon, you burn it.
and you burn it, and
that's
it becomes
That's key.
pungent, and it doesn't taste
Yeah.
good.
And what kind of oil are you using there?
I'm using extra virgin olive oil.
Nice.
Because
Yeah.
that's what you told me to do. That's all we cook with in this classroom is extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil.
Both are
Coconut
great,
oil,
yeah.
both are all good. So I'm gonna slightly saute this. And the reason why I asked you about the rice is because we have all these wonderful vegetables that we're gonna be putting in here.
Okay.
And then we're gonna serve it on rice. So if all you have is white rice, and you put these veggies
Then you've got
on
other
white
ways to get the
rice,
vitamins. And
they're
right.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
But-
the next thing I'm putting in is my bell peppers.
Yum.
Because they take longer. Oh my gosh! And I'm putting in. Do you see the colors
So
I have
colorful.
here?
Yeah.
Color, color, color. Tell me about the color.
Okay, so are we done with the rice story?
So
No.
we don't have. There's still three kinds out here. So brown rice is the way that people ate rice forever throughout most of the world.
Okay, and that's got
it's still
all of the
a great way to go, and
nutrients.
it's got all of the nutrients. Wonderful. White rice, you're not going to die from.
Okay.
Although we have an epidemic now of obesity from too much starch, too much sugars, and
yeah.
this is a lot of that. So a little minimal is there.
Yeah.
One trick if you are going to eat white rice is if it's heated and then cooled, then it becomes a resistant starch, and you digest it. Yeah, so you digest it entirely differently. So like sushi rice doesn't have the same blood sugar spikes that just plain fresh cooked white
Okay,
rice does.
so that will not spike your sugar to make you crave more, right?
Right.
But it also does not give you any vitamins that you need
That
for
it's
brain
missing all
function.
that except for the dust that's put on like a multivitamin.
Yeah.
But people today aren't going to die from beriberi because there's enough B1
Oh, that
other
was the
places.
disease.
That was the disease.
The disease is beriberi.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was wild.
Right?
Yeah, go look that up and go to images, type in beriberi
It was
in
a
Google.
nasty disease, and it was only the difference between white and brown rice.
That's wild. Yes, the vitamin.
now I'm
And then we've
putting
gotten
in the
around it,
zucchini.
but that tells you how much better this is for our body.
As a matter of fact, I did look that up, and it's only a lack of vitamin B, which is very important because it can cause things such as heart condition issues, motor control problems, and skin diseases that could end up killing you.
Now,
Okay.
wild rice is totally different. It's not even in the same family as the other rices.
Okay.
So wild rice is
wild.
Yeah, right? It's not even the
Totally
same
wild.
plant species at all. Wild rice is one of the only grains that is native to North America. And it's really cool. I personally love the way it tastes.
It's like kind of nutty,
smoky,
hearty,
yeah.
smoky. Yeah, it's very rich in texture
And I love the way it smells,
flavor.
too, right?
It smells
It
good.
is a grain.
It is a grain,
It's a grain.
but it's a grain that has
Whole grain.
30% fewer calories than the same amount of other rices, and 40% more protein than other rices.
Okay, we're
all 9
switching.
amino acids.
But if
So
you-
calorie per calorie is
if you
double
did-
the protein.
If you did brown rice with wild rice,
Yeah, mix 'em up.
man, you are just covering all the bases.
Right. And if you
Okay.
are going to do white rice, make sure you get other sources of great nutrients. But
Okay, which is veggies.
Which
You can
is
put a lot of
veggies, right.
But
So that brings us to another topic,
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love
right?
it. Okay.
And that is something called prebiotics. And people hear about probiotics. Probiotics are the bacteria that people take to help nourish their gut.
So pro
Prebiotic,
meaning good, biotic meaning life.
right? Yeah. So
So-
these bacteria that,
Probiotic, okay.
right? And then prebiotics.
So it's before
Right, it's-
life,
It's the food,
The
for
food.
the bacteria,
for the bacteria.
right? It's what nourishes the healthy bacteria in us,
Okay.
which then create all kinds of great stuff for us. So, another story.
Okay. Oh, I love stories.
So-
oh, it's story time.
So, okay, this is another one that completely changed my way of thinking about things. The perfect human food is breast milk,
Yes.
right? It's like human milk for human babies. There couldn't be a more perfect match. So I was
all
shocked.
The things that you need
It's got
in it.
everything you need.
It's got a bunch of fat in it. It's got protein. It's got prebiotics.
So there are over 200 ingredients in breast milk that the baby can't eat. The baby can't digest. It's not there for the baby at all. Over 200 ingredients that are there just to feed bacteria to come into the gut and create this wonderful, healthy ecosystem.
And then that's what protects your baby
Right.
from getting diseases and getting sick. And that's why babies that are breastfed were able to survive. So
Right.
it's nature's way of making sure that the baby could survive for the first year.
Right.
Wow.
Or even longer than the first year.
Yes.
So these prebiotics, they're in breast milk. I used to think that when you were done with breast milk, you're done with nature's perfect food. But that's not true. Humans have perfect food still. That's a saute pan full of perfect foods.
Yes.
Right? We are designed, we are built to live with great food from nature that are also, the best ones are also prebiotics.
Yes.
So prebiotic is a way of connecting it to the gut, but we used to call it fiber, which
Fiber is the other one. It got a bad name
rap.
because you think of old people and stuff
Well,
like
not
that.
only that, what they do is they would take tree
hardwired,
bark
yeah,
and they
and
would
grind it up.
and then tell you to eat Metamucil
Yeah.
because what you need is fiber. It's more than fiber. Fiber is a way to deliver the vitamins and minerals to your body so that you can stay healthy and to be able to have elimination and that soluble and insoluble I'm going to call them prebiotics,
Right.
soluble and insoluble, move things through, but also feed
Yeah.
the entire. Oh man, that's
so the
so
definition
awesome.
of fiber, it's the same thing that was in breast milk. It's all the stuff that we eat that humans can't digest. We don't break down. It's just there to feed the bacteria in our gut.
I
Brown
love
rice has lots of fiber. White rice has none. Wild rice has lots of fiber. And all of these vegetables are loaded with it. That's the
Yeah.
best places. Fiber you find are prebiotics, the things that nourish the gut bacteria that nourish our health. Come in vegetables, in fruits, in whole grains without the outer part stripped off,
Yes.
and in nuts and legumes. That's where it is.
Real food.
Real food.
That
That's
you
what it
can
comes down
identify.
to. Right.
If you can't look at your food and identify what it is, then you shouldn't eat it.
Right. It also regulates our appetite so that you are eating just the right number of calories and feel completely satisfied.
My
You
gosh.
can't just get it from outside. If you look at that asparagus, you say, okay, asparagus has these vitamins, these minerals, this amount of fiber, this amount of protein, this amount of fat.
That's too much.
And then you go and you try and get that separately from supplements or
Yep.
from other things and put it together. It's not the same. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
And it's not just the whole of each one, which is great, but that whole, the combination of colors right there,
man.
you got
The
so
rainbow.
many different, yeah.
Yeah.
This is exciting. This
You
is
put
so
that
exciting.
on a little cup of this, and you are
and
like
you're
feeling
really doing
So
well.
I have to tell a story.
Okay.
Well, my grandparents were immigrants from Italy, and we always had my mother's parents, and we always had a garden in the back. I mean, that was just what was really important to them. And I remember at like 5 and 6 years old, because I was raised by grandparents because my parents were so young. My grandfather would take asparagus and he'd make an asparagus, they call it frittata, or an omelet. And I loved that as a kid and always looked forward to asparagus
yum,
season.
yum, yum, yeah.
And then we would pick out, we'd go to the market and we would pick out the thin or the fat asparagus and the way that he did it, and it was so simple. He would just put a little olive oil, because that's all they used was olive oil, and then he put a little salt, and then he would whip up the eggs and the olive
that
oil
sounds
and the oh God, it was
Yeah.
delicious. My mouth is watering thinking about the good food that I had as a child. And when things started to change for me was when I became a teenager, and they, teenagers worry about their weight,
Right.
and they introduced Fresca and Tab, and then my palate changed because the sugar was so big, and then I no longer wanted to eat like this. It was amazing
yeah.
how it just, and I see that happening with our children.
But every bite of foods you eat is either an investment in your future or a debt you're
Yes.
taking out. And when you have
Who
a bite
knew?
of this, the next time it'll taste even better.
You can throw eggs on this tomorrow.
yeah.
Oh. You can eat it on rice today, and you can throw in eggs and make a nice frittata.
Yeah,
Or an
scramble,
omelet, or
yeah.
a scramble, or whatever. Oh, look at that. Okay, we're done. And we do al dente today.
Okay.
Because as it sits in the pan, it breaks down. Another thing you can do is you can put some stewed tomatoes or tomato sauce in here, and it can be like a ratatouille.
Oh, I love that.
You can grill up chicken, and you can make a chicken cacciatore. And all of these things fuse together, and the longer it sits, the better it tastes.
And the cool thing is you don't have to follow a recipe.
Maybe you could talk just a little bit about frozen
Oh, yeah.
as to fresh.
Sure. So there's a lot of different ways that vegetables get to us from the farm. The closest to picking,
So this is your favorite right here?
yes.
Okay, so I'm going.
I enjoy brown rice a lot too, but wild's my favorite.
I think it's both. This is
Yes, a
brown
nice
and
mix,
wild.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to leave that here. Okay, so go ahead.
So the ideal thing is if you pick something straight from the farm, it tastes so much fresher because the nutrients start going away a little bit, the taste starts going away a little bit. I knew that as a kid growing up with corn. We would stop at a little roadside stand, and if you had corn picked that day, it's just
man.
like a different food. It tasted
It's
so good.
different. You can literally taste the sun.
Right? Yeah,
it's
you can, right?
sun-kissed.
Yeah, it
right.
is.
It's like, oh
And
my
you
God,
hardly
it's
have to cook it.
invigorating.
You hardly have to cook it.
Right,
You
it's just so-
warm it up
right.
and then just
And then
good.
I was really surprised. It wasn't until I was an adult and we had a little garden of our own that we were growing some carrots. And carrots fresh picked are like a different food than carrots from the grocery store.
Yeah.
So fresh is great. I'm a big fan of farmers markets and growing your own food when you can. Still, it's better for you to have old carrots than, not real old carrots, but
then no carrots.
than no carrots by a long shot. But flash freezing will store a lot of the taste and nutrients.
And they have to pick it.
Pick
right.
it, and then you pick it ripe, and then you freeze it right away. And that's great. So I'm a fan of people getting frozen vegetables or fruit or berries from the grocery store. Fabulous.
Wow, that's really interesting. Growing up, I was always under the impression that freezing your fruits would take away from the raw nutrients. So it's very refreshing to learn that flash freezing is a successful and reliable way to store your fruits and keep them fresh.
And some people ask me they're concerned about sautéing vegetables because of the oil that's in there. And first of all, oil is good for you. Some amount of oil can be great. Our brains are 60% fat. We need healthy fats. And fats that come from foods that you press, great. Olive oil, avocado oil, walnut oil. It's the super refined ones that are chemically extracted that I'm more concerned about.
Yes. Okay, so why
Ready?
don't you give that, so I put just a little bit of salt, a little bit of those peppers in there on that rice, and see what you think.
This is so good.
Yeah, yeah. This is, you know, and
man.
starting, so, you know, you're a pediatrician, and putting this out for your child, those soft vegetables like that, like I said, when I was a child, I grew up with my grandparents that I didn't eat anything different than what my grandparents ate.
Right.
And I got to try everything, and you had said that the,
So good.
how many times for a child to taste something?
For a young child, just 6 to 10 times on average.
And you
but for
just-
an older child, it's 89 times. But
Okay,
still,
we got some work to do on that.
That's a
Yeah.
big difference. So let's
yeah,
just
so
repeat
starting young
that.
is great. Yeah. So for
Yes.
a baby, before they learn to walk, on average 6 to 10 times they try something, they'll fall in love with it.
Right. So I remember this with James because I really wanted him to eat salmon. I got in my mind that like that was what people eat that are healthy, right? And he didn't like it. So I would just put like a little piece, right, just a little flavor, like right here, where he, you know what I mean, like he would kind of get it a little bit. And it was probably about 5 or 6 times that I did that. I didn't force it in his mouth or anything like that. I just kind of like, you know, gave him a bite a little bit. He developed a flavor for it. He eats a lot of amazing things because I introduced them to him when he was younger, but now it's a little bit different. He's 12.
So another time you can change
Yeah.
is around the time of puberty and after.
Oh.
So it's a good opportunity.
Okay, this
And
is good
multiple
news.
times is really good. Another thing that really helps is being involved in cooking. When kids
Huge.
prepare the food
Okay,
themselves.
teachers, that's why we're doing this. You know, I
Right.
had the kids prep this all up.
I love that.
And they, you know, if you just keep encouraging them, and that's just true of math, of reading, of everything. If a child doesn't like to read, you don't discontinue reading.
Right.
You read to them, and then you ask them to read, and if they don't like to write, you ask them to just write one sentence, one paragraph. It is the practice.
Right.
It is the practice doesn't make perfect, it makes permanent.
And if kids are involved in prep, they're about twice as likely to like a dish.
Okay.
So really, really valuable to do. And it tastes better to them. It's not like they're forced to eat it.
Right,
It tastes better.
right. Okay, and make sure that you buy good things, or growing them is so important, which is
Right.
why we have the gardens here and getting the kids involved. And I can't stress enough, if we want a better planet and we want a better biome, and this is a biome too, recycling goes along with this, food waste, that's the environment, that's how we build soil. Having a small garden, even if it's just in your window. These are all things that are taught from the kitchen.
So when you look at the biggest nutritional deficits today in kids, probably the biggest single ones in the medical literature is what's called fiber. And kids should
We're
be
not calling it
teens.
fiber
I know,
anymore.
prebiotics.
Prebiotics, we got
But
a new
should
name
be
for
getting
it.
25 grams a day.
Oh, at least.
At least. That's
That
the
is-
minimum
That's
for
the
thriving
minimum
and
to not have
having
disease.
energy, right?
Right.
And on average, kids are way short of that. But if you eat meals like this, it's easy. You don't need a fiber supplement. You don't need cardboard tasting wafers or just
No.
real food.
No. So we know the history of rice. That white rice almost killed the planet. If we
yeah.
didn't discover, it's amazing
What was
how,
missing
what
and
was missing.
how it had to change.
I mean, if you want to feed your gut and do good things for your body, you want to eat. The closer it is, this is my takeaway, the closer it is to the original form, the better it is. So you want to eat the whole grains, you want to eat real fruits and veggies, and once in a while, if you want to have a treat, it's something that you got to pay attention, because if it drives you from wanting to eat the good stuff, then there's probably a disconnect. So maybe you could tell me just a little bit what the gut calls for. So if it's an increase of bad bacteria, it's going to cause you to crave.
So there's a bit of a cycle that goes on. The bacteria live on the food that we eat that's for them, and they also live on sugars, and for some people alcohol and other things that are there. And whatever we feed bacteria, that group grows and proliferates. There's more and more, they multiply. And then the craving that we get from their signals is to eat the foods that reinforce what we're doing. So if you're eating ultra-processed junk foods, pretty soon you want them more and more and more. But if you stop, that craving starts to go away, and you start loving food that is so good for your body.
So it's really important that the cafeteria stops feeding these children all this processed food.
That's really
Because we're
important.
actually moving them away from health.
Yeah. I mean, the thing about schools is we're supposed to be teaching kids about
Right.
life and how to enjoy healthy food is one of the best things to do.
Have a garden.
Have a garden.
Teach them to cook.
Yeah.
Growing your own food and learning how to cook for yourself is very important for your lifestyle. Yes, while simply eating the healthy foods is good for your physical health, gardening and the act of cooking is also great for mental health.
This is great. And I think teachers out there that are listening, have your kid research. There's history right there. Why did we get where we got or where we are today?
Yeah. And the bonus tip is wild rice, double the protein for the same amount of calories.
Oh, that's great.
Wow, you know, I didn't know wild rice was as good as it is. I'm definitely gonna have to add that to my diet plan.
Wild rice.
Because you never really think of rice as having protein.
Right.
And that's what I tell people as well. It's like broccoli has protein,
Right.
spinach has protein. Like you get the building blocks for your body and for life. And
Anything
really
that grows from the
almost
ground.
all real food
Right.
has everything that you need. It's got all the minerals that sucked up from the soil. It's got all the vitamins that it got from the air and from the sun. And then it's got the fiber because it's been grown. So that's
Yep.
the part
That's the prebiotic.
that's the
Yeah.
That's the
prebiotic.
prebiotic.
That's right. And then, of course, it's got some protein and some fats and everything that your body needs. So it's like, then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to be like counting macros. You don't have to do counting grams. You know, you just eat real
When you
food.
eat
your
real
body
food,
has everything it needs.
You don't have to read the label.
That's right.
Yeah,
Oh
amen.
man,
That makes
and you
it
can just
so
listen
easy.
to your gut.
Yeah.
Eat real food, listen to your gut.
You got it.
Oh my gosh, that's our takeaway today. Thank you so much,
Thank
Dr.
you.
Green.
Bon appetit.
Thank you, Rose.
Oh, I knew Chef
Enjoy your
Cindy.
food, have a garden, recycle, think about the environment here because it reflects the environment there. Thanks so much, and we'll see you next time. Check us out on YouTube, Farm to Taste. Subscribe and like us. Thank you so much.
Wow, that was a great episode. Thank everybody for watching. Thank you, Chef Cindy. Thank you, Dr. Green. Thank you, Rose. We'll see you guys next time.